everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Shop Adventures, my weekly excursion where I leave the homestead here at Athletic Geek HQ and search my bounty of comics, graphic novels, collectibles, action figures, and all things in between. And like some fellow YouTubers here on the site today, if you hear some humming in the background, well, it's very hot and I had to turn my air conditioner up. So fortunately, we're just going to have to deal with maybe a few audio errors, because it is indeed getting very, very hot. Speaking of hot, time to talk about the awesome books that stood out from last week's bounty. And first things first, got to talk about the Flash. Flash doing really awesome as it prepares for the final part of the year one story. Really, really cool moment with young Barry, who just got his powers, meeting old Barry, who's kind of seen and done it all. They just have a really, really cool moment there. Detective Comics, it surprised me. It's kind of concluding, or at least putting a bow on this part of the Spectre story. I don't think that they're going to continue with the Spectre, at least not outright, in the next issue, Detective Comics. But really, really good little conclusion, and really liked how they tied everything together with the slain cop and with the Spectre and Spectre's interactions with Batman. Is just a really, really good issue. Peter Tomasi is kicking some serious ass on Detective Comics right now. And Event Leviathan. It's kind of a slow build book, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed issue 2. Now, that being said, I was also singing the praises of Marvel's event book Age of Ultron back in 2013, and then when it got to the very end, the same writer, Brian Michael Bendis, in my opinion, dropped the ball severely, and it was one of the first times that I felt like complete disappointment through a comic book that I'd been following, and it just kind of built up, and I say that because I mentioned that point because I'm weary with Event Leviathan. It's got a good start, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see, everything that goes on in this book, with this, espionage mystery within the DC universe. But I'm also weary because, well, it's written by the same guy who was doing almost a Walking Dead with androids that I really enjoyed all the way up until the ending over at Marvel, 6 years ago. So I'm enjoying it, but I'm, I guess just with everything with Brian Michael Bendis, I like it, but I'm hesitant. So, yeah, that is everything that stood out from last week's bounty. I will see you guys back here at the homestead with this week's bounty. Hey everyone, I am back here at the homestead, here at Athletic Geek HQ. It has been a long, tiring, and exhausting, but more than anything, hot adventure this week, so let's get right to it. This week, start off, we have Daredevil number 8 by Chip Zdarsky, part 3 of the No Devils Only God story arc. Been a really, really good story so far. I've really liked what Chip Zdarsky has done on his run with Daredevil. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed how he writes the characters, and if you are not reading this book right now and you're a Daredevil fan, you owe it to yourself to go pick up the back issues and check this out. This is a much, much better run than the Charles Soule run. And yeah, just good writing. Probably the best Daredevil writing in quite some time. Yeah, just has a really good voice for the characters. I've really enjoyed Zdarsky's run thus far, and I look forward to reading more of it. Daredevil number 8. From there we go to Deadpool number 15. The fun Scotty Young continues his run on the Merc with a Mouths comic, and I know in the past it's kind of been more of a single issue thing with Deadpool, but the last few issues of Deadpool were more of a continuing story, and that's it wasn't bad. It's still a really, really well done story arc, and I've loved Scotty Young's work on this title thus far, just the whole run has just been amazing. He's been as good as Jerry Dugan on Deadpool, but I think I prefer kind of the one-done single issues with, maybe kind of like a thread timed together, but for the most part, different stories within the single issues. I think I like that more than the continuing story arc. Not that it was bad. I just really looked at Deadpool as kind of here's my read it, enjoy it, and then be done with it book. And I'd like to see it go back to that, but if it doesn't, still a damn good book. Deadpool number 15. And from there we go to Uncanny XMen number 22. And yeah, they're finishing up this story arc that's been just kind of okay. But that is being finished up because the House of X and the Powers of X series are beginning. I got this one for free. It's a free preview of the book. And yeah, everything is going towards this. So who knows? I'm guessing what happens here is going to set up or have a hand in setting up what happens here, unless they just decide to throw everything that happens here out the window. So maybe that's why subconsciously I've not really been as into Uncanny X-Men these last few issues, because I'm thinking they're probably just going to start everything anew again here with these new mini-series they're going to use. But either way, I'm going to read both of these. I'm going to start with X-Men number 22, and going to continue with this preview of House of X and Powers of X. We now jump over to the world of DC, and we're going to start with a book that I actually forgot to pick it up last week, but luckily there was a few copies left over, and I picked up this week. Lois Lane, number 1 by Greg Rucka. I am a Greg Rucka fan, and I'm just kind of the Silver Age Lois Lane stories are. I really don't know if they would hold up today. They're fun, but I just don't really know if that's the kind of story that today's comic book fans would want, especially with a character like Lois. So I'm kind of interested to see what they, where they go with this, with the investigative journalist angle that, Lois is. And I also want to point out this is a variant cover, and I really, really dig it. She almost has a Carmen Sandiego type look to her, and I think it looks kind of cool. I'm a fan of Greg Rucka's writing. I really like what he did on Batman. That's pretty much most of the Greg Rucka work that I've read has been his Batman work. I know he has more work out there, but what I've read from him is Batman, and I love it. So I'm interested to see what he does with Lois and see how this 12-issue maxi series goes. Lois Lane, number 1. And coming out this week I did not miss this one. We have Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 1, written by the great Matt Fraction. And Matt Fraction was the main reason I wanted to pick this book up. Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run made Hawkeye one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Just how well he wrote Hawkeye and the different angle on that for that character, and just it's an amazing. Go read Matt Fraction's Hawkeye if you haven't already. You owe it to yourself to go pick up the trade paperbacks of that and read it. It's just freaking awesome. So when I found out that Matt Fraction would be writing Jimmy Olsen, I kind of wondered if he was going to kind of take a similar angle to Jimmy. And it's got a very, on the cover, it's got a very, very Silver Age looking Jimmy Olsen. So, yeah. Definitely looking forward to reading this and seeing what Fraction can do with this character. Seeing if it's a new Jimmy or if it's a Silver Age Jimmy or... this is probably the book I'm the most excited to read out of all of them. But it's because I'm a Matt Fraction fan. Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 1. From there we go to Batman, number 75. It is the end of the Bane story arc. Or perhaps it's the beginning with the conclusion to, honestly, last week's Batman with the big showdown between the Thomas Wayne Batman and the Bruce Wayne Batman that was kind of all put on by Bane. Someone won that fight, and we don't know who it is. I'm guessing Bane was the one that was victorious, and this is either the conclusion of all of that or the beginning of Bane ruling Batman's world. We don't know. So, the hit and miss Tom King, yeah. Well, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see whether he hits or misses here. Batman, number 75. And from there, we go to Nightwing, number 62. It's the courtship of the Owls, so I'm guessing they're going to bring the Court of Owls into this. That might be enough to make me want to start checking this out again, but until this man right here starts reprising his role in Nightwing, it's not going to be a book I'm very excited about. Point blank, that's just how I feel. I keep reading because eventually Dick's going to come back, and I want to be there for when he comes back. That's it. The whole bunch of Nightwings has not been doing it for me. This has been the epitome. This has been them just taking my money. For all the grief I'll give Marvel, I'm going to give DC some here. This book has just been taking my money for a bad story because I am a fan waiting for what I want to happen. Maybe it'll happen with this Court of Owls story. Maybe it won't. With the Year of the Villain, maybe that'll be what brings Dick back to back under the Nightwing mask. I don't know, but I hope it happens soon because I don't like wasting $4 on a book that's not very good. Nightwing 62. And from there, we have Justice League number 28. And it's more of the Year of the Villain, more of a continuation of that story. It says Lex Luthor, Apex Predator, and yeah, they're going to start making him like Randy Orton, and I don't know if I'm going to be a big fan of that. I keyed. I enjoyed the first part of the Justice League for the Year of the Villain, and they're kind of sprinkling that in to all the DC comics, and we'll see where it continues to go. Like the first part, see where part 2 goes. Justice League number 28. And that is it for me this week. Let me know what you picked up at your local comic shop in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a share. For more content, please subscribe. I have content not just from the world of comic books, from the world of gaming, pro wrestling, and all things geek culture. For more content, please go like the Facebook page at facebook.com/athleticgeek89. There you'll find every Thursday my collection comic of the week that is exclusive to my Facebook page. But other than that, I'm out. Y'all be cool.